they have their own line of vitamins. So
That is a fair point.
they're very very reliable.
That's why I chose my brand of cigarettes.
Yep. Marlboro.
They were great.
I was always a Popeye cigarettes kind of guy.
You know,
I
they
miss
don't have
those,
they
actually.
still sell them, but they
Yeah, but
don't
they call
have
them-
the red tip anymore. They just call them candy sticks.
Candy sticks, yeah.
They don't have a red tip anymore. That's the only difference from when we were kids.
Which they didn't even make sense in the first place.
That's my only difference from when I was a kid too. I don't have a red tip anymore. It's kind of purple.
Actually, yours has gone kind of more of an auburn, but whatever.
It has.
Oh, son of a bitch. I hit live. We're live, guys. How we doing today?
Oh. You gotta tell a brother.
I'm sorry. All 35 subscribers. We keep growing. It's great.
Yeah, but apparently we're just angry old men.
We're angry old
Welcome
white
to the
men.
Angry Old White Men show.
Yeah, we're going to be angry, not having fun with comics, and we're just going to complain more and more and more.
Get off my lawn. I think that's already taken. I think someone has the Get Off My Lawn podcast.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
You know what Grinds Monkey is?
So good.
Exactly.
So good. So good. So we'll jump into it today. We might have a fourth person coming, in which we'll jump into a fun topic I've been holding in our pockets, or my pocket.
I don't want you holding things in my pockets. That's weird.
Right? It is
I
very
don't care
weird.
if you give me stuff to hold for you, but don't go diving for it.
It's WrestleMania season, so that's why I got my WWF, WWE. This is a vintage CM Punk shirt that I got
Reject
in
the
2012.
E.
Reject the E. Get the F out. Get the F out. We're going to be doing a Keep 5, Cut 5. Marcus and Chris. Chris is going to be doing the superheroes. Marcus, you're going to be doing the villains. We'll start off with Chris. I am going to give you a list right here coming in your chat. Chris is going to be deciding between Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, Iron Man, Captain America, Punisher, Daredevil, Flash, Thor, or Wolverine. I gave you a gimme.
I'm not familiar with any of these people, by the way.
I gave you a gimme with Thor.
Just out of curiosity, is that comic book or movie? Because every one of those has a movie.
Or some sort of screen presence.
When you cut this person or character, there will be no medium for them, period.
Oh, so this is cut out of the universe.
Remove from history.
So is our only criterion for whether we cut or keep them our own personal preferences, or what standards are we setting
They're
for
your
ourselves?
personal preference, but we would like your defense and,
Okay.
reasons being. Yeah,
So are we arguing
absolutely.
this with him and he has to defend?
We can do that for sure. Let's see his first cut. Who is your first cut?
Okay, let me just have a quick look at this easy list, and we're cutting Thor. He's gone.
Wait, why?
Okay, so in defense of Thor, what they've done with, and I think I've said this on this very same channel before, what they've done with Thor in the movies is admirable. Admirable. Is that admirable?
You're right. That's a word.
I know, but I felt like I was adding in syllables.
Nope, you're good.
They made him
Likeable?
likable, interesting. Look at what's going on with this hair back here.
You were just brushing it too.
I know. Well, it's because I need a haircut anyways, but when I put the headphones on here, I'm just going to do this.
This is why people call us old.
I'm gonna put the super old man hat on. There you go.
I actually love that hat.
I do too. I brought it back from Ireland with me.
Sorry, go ahead. Thor, what they did in the movies.
See, my problem isn't not having hair. My problem is having too much hair, so I don't know how old I actually am.
Yeah, me
Sure.
too. We have the
So
same
suck
problem
it,
with
haters.
plastic
This
surgery.
is why we need socialism. You get hair and I don't? That's not fair.
Yeah, we need to share the hair. Let's start a new campaign, share the hair.
Share the hair.
There's the hair.
Okay, so I like what they did with Thor up until about halfway through Ragnarok. They made him better than the comics, and the same issue I have with Thor is the same issue I have with Superman. They are boring characters in their comic books. They are nigh on unstoppable. They can defeat almost any enemy. Superman more so. Like I mean, the concept, and so Superman's number 2. The concept of Superman is he can only be defeated by magic,
Rock.
which they don't really.
Utilized very often.
Oh,
Yeah,
they utilize
like
it quite frequently, but
Yeah, but not to any like wide notoriety, right? Like, can you name me 3 times that Superman has had to battle magic and had trouble with it?
the Banshee, Zatanna, he's gone up
Mixoplex?
against Constantine, Mixopitalik,
Say that again.
Mixopitalik.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a whole whack of them that he has had to go up against magic, and the Banshee in particular gave him problems, but that was in post burn. Like before that, I don't think pre burn he had. Well, hold on, we're good with Thor, right?
Well, yeah, I mean the
Because
argument.
Superman's on his list, so
Yeah, well, he said Superman's number 2. I just want to make sure we're moving forward.
Yeah, because and I think I'm done with Thor. Is basically he's a boring character.
And he got turned into a frog for a period of time, so that just, I'm sorry, it's stupid. You're out.
Yeah, I mean,
Throg. Come on.
it's
Throg.
almost- it's almost like you're like, have you guys really run out of ideas that hard?
Yeah, it was just.
Talk about jumping the pond.
Oh, there we go. Well done.
Live that old man routine in with those jokes. Okay, so
Okay, Thor cut. Now keep one.
well, I cut 2, so I'll keep 2: Captain America and Wolverine. And
Oh.
Well, we still haven't finished fighting about Superman yet.
okay,
It depends which Superman you're talking about.
all of them.
Well, no, the Golden Age Superman, he got to the point where he was completely overpowered and unstoppable.
Yeah.
After Burn, they gave him human frailties on top of his superhuman strength. So he could mentally be screwed with, and he could have his life fall apart. Even though he's Superman, he can go do whatever he wants. The rest of his life falls apart all the time. It's like Barry Allen. Like he can't.
He's getting cut too.
Okay, fair enough.
Don't jump ahead.
But in defense of what you're saying, from a reader perspective, and even as a young reader, I recognized that what that was them in their continued attempts to try and figure out why Marvel was more successful than DC. And when they saw the likes of Peter Parker and his very human issues and trials and tribulations, they made every attempt to try and capture that in their stories, and they were incapable of it because their top 2 dudes, Batman and Superman, are not really relatable in the same way that Peter Parker is, right? Like Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent will never have the problems that Peter Parker has.
Oh, understandable, but we told Jordan earlier, like my collection growing up was Superman. I'm a huge Superman fan, any incarnation, and probably one of the best scenes in any comic movie is in Justice League War. The one where he's fighting with
You said movie, right?
yes, yeah, Darkseid. I think that was movie, but I'm not 100% sure.
In the Snyder cut?
Yeah, it would have been Snyder,
This
wouldn't
is
it?
Animated.
Oh, and that's why I said movie. I'm like,
he starts punching, and Darkseid, Batman just manages to be the first human or person to ever escape the Omega Beam. And Darkseid's like, "Oh, I will kill him now," but I'm impressed by this human. And Superman starts punching, and his whole monologue about, "Hey, you know what? I live in a world made of tissue paper. I have to be ultra careful not to crush anything or break anybody. So I have to hold back at all times. But you can take it, can't you, big boy? I have the rare opportunity to let loose and really go." And he beats the crap out of Darkseid for like a good minute and a half of screen time. And he just like punches him through buildings into the air, crushes him, like the whole stuff that you see in most superhero fights, that the punch up and then the punch down, and but he has this great monologue where he just goes, "Hey, I can unload on you and get rid of some frustration, and this will be fantastic." It's a wonderful.
If I had a quarter for every time I said that to my wife.
But anyways, yeah. So like I said, I've got a soft spot for Superman. He is one of the originals. He's also Canadian, which is a bonus.
That's a stretch.
It's not a stretch. It was created by a Canadian.
Yeah, but the character isn't.
He's a Kansas boy.
He had to be, because he went to see his. He based Clark. Sorry, one of them is American. But he went to Toronto to visit his brother with the idea, or his cousin Frank, who's Frank Schuster from Schuster and Wayne and Schuster. And he modeled the Metropolis or the Daily Planet off of the Toronto Star. It was a takeoff, and the whole 9 yards. So like, I have a soft spot for Superman.
No, I get that. But in the realm of even overall comics, I found his comics throughout my life to be quite boring.
It's hard to
very
write.
Predictive. It is.
And it's not a defense of Superman, but it kind of is, because how do you write an interesting story where the guy has no threats, right? Mind you,
you peel some of that back, though, right? Like,
absolutely. But that's where it comes down to bad writing, which you see a lot of the times in many comics, where you have this masterful plan from the villain, and rather than the superhero or the antagonist or protagonist doing a workaround, we just make it so, well, he's got it in his utility belt, or this no longer affects him, or he just powers through it, right?
yeah.
And that's just lazy writing. And some of the best Superman stories are when he's not using his powers. It's, when I think it's the girl that's on the ledge, right? And she wants to jump off the ledge, and it's just him talking with her. I think that's where you see, Superman's character really shine. But I agree, it's hard to read a Superman book and be like, oh no, this is it for Superman.
Well, it's like we said before, right? Like, I mean, the movies, both DC and Marvel, had gotten before we all stopped watching and the world stopped watching. They had all gotten so formulaic and so non-risky, because you could have a superpowered character throw a non-superpowered character hard and fast against, moving objects like a vehicle or solid objects like a wall, or, the side of a vehicle, or into a plane. And they, they'll throw them so hard that they dent or damage what they're getting crashed into. And these are normal people. They should have shattered bones, not broken bones, shattered bones. And nothing happens to them. They get up and they either continue the fight, or they run after the now fleeing enemy. So, like, when you have zero stakes, there's zero interest. So that's how I've always felt about Superman and Thor. So those, and again, I still have tons of them in my collection. I've still read tons of them, but when you present it in a 5x5, and I have to get rid of some, those are my easy go-tos.
That's fair.
It'll hopefully, it's going to get harder, because I'm looking at the list, and it's going to get harder.
I will give you another example of what you're talking about, and although it doesn't destroy the interest and the love of it, it has a different feel, and that's Strange New Worlds, the new Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
The future of almost every one of those characters. So there is almost no jeopardy. In the back of your head, you're like, oh my God, are they going to die? No, because Uhura's on the next series, and Scotty lives, and Kurt, Pike doesn't die for another 10 years. Like, all these things in advance. So there's this weird like there's no real threat.
Mm-hmm.
It's like in Jaws.
But okay, to that point, I will give credit to two different properties because and it lends to our continued argument about you can do anything as long as you've got a good story, good characters, and you're doing it right. And to counter my own arguments of they were boring, they were formulaic, they were predictive, whatever, you look at the movie Titanic. Yep. Massive hit. And we all knew how it was going to end.
I didn't.
Well, he ends up banging her, and that's the end of the movie. It ends sort of like a porn.
Yeah.
That's one. The other one is arguably the only good Star Wars to come out of Disney-owned Star Wars is Rogue One. And we knew that none of these characters were making it beyond this episode.
Yep.
Yeah, you're 100% right. But maybe that's what gave it more weight. It's like, we know you're all going to die. So how does this story even relate or move forward, right?
And that's interesting.
Something had to happen before they died. And even though you know the outcome, it's interesting to watch how it happened. Like I was saying, they did the same thing in Jaws, but musically. It's really interesting. Whenever the shark is around, you heard that the theme song from Williams.
I'm going to re-edit it and play Baby Shark.
Fair enough. But when the kid is swimming around with the fake fin, nobody in the theater is worried. There's all kinds of people in the water, and then the shark fin comes out. Nobody in the theater is scared for any of those people, and nobody could figure out why until you realize the theme is not attached to the fin. So while they're in the water and the kid is there with the fake fin, nobody in the theater is worried because the theme isn't there. They know in the back of their brain the shark isn't there.
Interesting. What's this movie? You said Jaws? How do you spell that? I'm going to check this out.
With a Z.
So ZAWQS. Okay, gotcha.
The Q is silent.
The Q is silent.
Always.
Yes.
It's always silent.
My buddy used to do that. He goes, "How do you spell your name?" BRYQAN. The Q is silent. He did it every time, and it was.
See, now my joke isn't that good because I do that all the time to people too. I say Chris with a Q.
Yeah.
Anyways, so moving on. So I've ditched two.
Okay.
So I'll keep two, which is Captain America, and did I say Wolverine? Yeah.
Yes.
Correct.
I said Wolverine, and I have a Captain America shield on my wall over there, and I have a Wolverine right here. I have my cinema lens, so it's not going to autofocus for me today.
Yeah, it's okay. We see him.
And I think those two are easy. Captain America, I've expressed a very kindred fondness for the character, the right and wrong, the very solid line of what he believes to be moral and just like I identify with the character 100%. And I also like what they did, especially through my main collecting years. I really enjoyed where they took the character and they evolved with the times. One of my favorite story runs is Streets of Poison. It was the drug war that started in the 80s and 90s, and they took that and went with it, and they integrated what was going on in the comic scene at the time, the characters that were involved in his immediate world, so everything worked, and it just I could read that series over and over and over again. I love it. And introduced him kind of to a new risk to him, even though they'd fought before, but Bullseye being a definite threat to Cap was interesting to me because I enjoy Bullseye as an enemy. I think he's a very clever, sort of not really super powered, though they've changed him over the years, and just like a very good threat to what Cap's capabilities, skills, and powers are. So I enjoyed that part of it. So Wolverine, you've got the Canadian factor, the character himself, being Canadian.
Yeah, and how pissed off am I that they retcon that?
What did they do now?
Well, James Howlett's not Canadian,
Oh,
right?
stupid.
Once he got his memories back, is
Yeah, he's
it
from
just
New England or something.
yeah.
And I'm
it-
like, that's bullshit.
Yeah, well, I ignore that shit, and they can suck it.
that's a good topic, actually. Things that are canon that we refuse to acknowledge.
Yeah,
Or canon that was retconned,
yeah.
Right.
because that was entirely retconned.
So, I mean, don't really need to say much about Wolverine. I mean, he's hanging on my wall over there too. He's
Oh, your Batman Forever poster's gone.
yes, I rolled it back up and tucked it behind the cabinet there. He lends to the absolute definition of what we always talk about good storytelling means drama and intrigue. And you can't get more intrigue in a character than the character themselves not knowing who the fuck they are. So, they've built on that over the years, apparently destroying it since I've stopped reading. But
Oh, we did it again.
Oh no. So
I
just
did,
well-
however, like the way they made him lose his memory in that one in the movie where he used the abandoned tip bullet and shot him in the head and scrambled his brain.
right.
I thought that was a clever way of doing the no memory thing.
So just to keep going on Wolverine,
once every broadcast that does that, eh?
once, at least
Once.
it did it, during your turn,
Yeah.
So Sabretooth, I don't know how recent this is, but I'll show you guys this. This is what Sabretooth left for Wolverine as a birthday present. Right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, I've seen
Did
this.
you?
When was that? Because I've seen this.
That's a great question. That is a great question. Let me open up the link. This happened this year, it looks like. The first part of Wolverine event called the Sabretooth War begins the death of 2 X-Men. And so I believe, I haven't read it yet, but I believe that Sabretooth, this is supposed to be Wolverine's son. And this is the birthday present he left for him, which is pretty brutal and fantastic. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. So yeah, we don't need to belabor Wolverine. I mean, he's a good character. He's interesting. He's gone through several changes over his tenure, and so we'll move on to a ditch character, and I ditch Flash. Never gave a shit about Flash. I mean,
See, and I also was a good Flash fan. I love the Flash.
well, and it would be fun if my friend Andrew were here already today. Hopefully he does make it at some point, because he's both, like you, he's both huge into Superman, always has been, and Flash. And he's also a big Aquaman guy. He's the only Aquaman guy I know.
Aquaman is the Justice League equivalent of Snow Job for the G.I. Joes.
Elaborate on that?
What the hell does Snow Job do in the regular day unless they happen to be going to
Don't
an
hate
Arctic
on
thing?
another ginger. We've had enough.
It's not because he's a ginger. It's because he specializes in something that doesn't happen more than 2 months of the year unless you happen to go to the Arctic.
I heard he's black now.
Here's what a toddler I am. I have Snow Job action figure sitting right over there. I
course
can't
you
reach
do.
it, or else I would grab it.
That's funny.
Did
With-
you ever
with-
see that Robot Chicken one?
No.
It's Robot Chicken. They come and go, Snow Job, we got a special job for you. We need you. And he's like, yes, it's my turn. It's my time to shine. And then you see him out front shoveling the snow out of the base. He's like, you bastard. son of
That's
a
good.
bitch."
That's good.
That was great. It was awesome.
So yeah, Flash just never did it for me. Again, I've got some Flash comics, probably like a decent stack, but not anything noteworthy. I believe I actually have the original Flashpoint issue, and
It's another character who has just gotten way overpowered over the years, whereas nobody can touch him. Not even Superman. I'm sorry. Like, Flash thinks at a trillionth of a second. So he is, moving faster than anything that we could even fathom. And, if anything ever goes bad, he can just run back in time and fix it, right? That's
Yes,
that.
however, they made major consequences for that now, and that's one of the interesting things they've done with the Flash. I liked getting rid of Barry Allen and going to Wally West. There was a great arc where Wally came back from the dead, and he was kind of pissed that Wally had taken his name and his mantle and run with his cowl and run with it, literally. And Wally was never as fast as Barry. So Barry was sort of zipping around him and doing stuff. And they got trapped in this force bubble that was slowly shrinking. And Barry's vibrating out of it. And Wally, he used to have to hold Wally's hand to get him vibrating so he could continue to do so. And he leaves it. He looks back at Wally and goes, well, you're screwed now because you're not fast enough to get out of this thing. And you stole my name, you stole my everything, and you suck, and I hate you. Die, and leaves. And Wally reaches within himself, realizes that he's just as fast or faster than Barry. He had some mental block about not taking away from Barry, manages to get out. Then turns out it was Thrawn the whole time, just messing with him. And that's when Wally became the fastest man alive. He even beat Barry. But it was a really interesting arc. And all the Flashpoint stuff, which screws everything up. He deals with stuff in DC about as much as Parker deals with it in Marvel. He gets so much crap thrown at him. He's fast, but again, he's always late. And they really played up on that. And the series was not bad for most of the run. I really enjoyed it. But I can understand your reasoning, so go ahead.
Yeah. Well, and again, I mean, Jordan sort of thrust this discussion up this morning, so we didn't have time to prepare. And
no, I can't have you prepare for a keep 5, cut 5. That's
right.
not fair.
Well, but I mean, I have to mentally get through because as I do what I consider my easy cuts, and I'm looking down the list going, this is going to get hard because it's not like you've thrown in a booster gold or something like that where I can just go, screw them.
Yeah, you don't want the easy runs if you're doing a keep 5, cut 5.
Right. Well, but see, I see Thor and Superman when juxtaposed with these other characters. I see them as easy cuts. So it just depends on everybody's personal preference, right? But it's going to come down to, I'm looking at this list.
You're going to cut someone that you're going to hate to cut.
I have to because it's the list. And so my next keep, I guess, is an easy one because I'm wearing, I'm wearing my Punisher ring. So I'm keeping Punisher because, yet again, as much as I associate with the right and wrong of Captain America's way of things, in a warped way, I still view Punisher as the same kind of thing, just in a different method. So, and again, I have a huge Punisher collection. I remember when War Journal started, and I have all the War Journals up until whatever year I stopped avidly collecting. So I've got from War Journal 1 on, Warzone, I've got, I think all of them until they stopped doing them. But yeah, huge Punisher collection, and I've always been a fan. Lots of Punisher, I don't want to say paraphernalia, but collectibles.
Right.
A shirt, that kind of ring. Got multiple Punisher rings because I don't lose things, but I can't find my Punisher ring. I don't know where I put it, so I bought a new one.
Oh, I was going to say, isn't it on your finger?
I had a different one that was actually the full shape of the skull. This one, the skull is embedded.
That's neat. That's neat. So Punisher, you're keeping.
Keeping.
So you have kept Wolverine, Cap, and the Punisher. Mm-hmm. Your next cut.
So we're down to Spider-Man, Batman, Iron Man, Daredevil, and that's it.
Yeah. Good luck.
This is weird, but I got to cut Batman.
Wow. Okay. Defend that.
the only defense is process of elimination.
Yeah.
Because if I look at this and I go, who is
Guys, excuse me.
Yep.
I have to leave for a minute. I'll be back.
okay? Who did I collect more and enjoy more during my time of where I was avidly collecting, which it was, quite a while. But in the peak early to mid 90s of my hardcore collecting, it was the tops of my list was Captain America, Iron Man, Spider-Man, X-Men, Daredevil, and Avengers. And don't get me wrong, I have tons of Batman stuff. I've got The Killing Joke. I've got, all the cornerstone Batman things. I've got a huge graphic novel of, what's the one? Hush. I've got actually two huge, one still boxed in wrapped graphic novel that's like, table size. The thing's so big.
I have probably the most unpopular take of Batman, and I didn't like The Killing Joke. I never got it.
Well, because it wasn't funny.
It wasn't funny, and they're both just standing there laughing at the end, and I'm like, I don't get this. Like he just did so much, and Batman's just laughing at the end. The Joker just did so much, and Batman's laughing at the end with the Joker, and brotherly puts his hand on Joker's shoulder, and I just never got that.
Well, I liken it to, there's a line in the original Infinity Gauntlet series where, and I can't remember if it's Hulk already up on the roof or Wolverine up on the roof, one or the other, and the other one comes up and approaches and says, "Too weird for you in there," or something like that, and they end up chatting, and then one of them says, "Well, look, when you fought each other as much as you and I have, you get to know a thing or two about them," and it's sort of like this combat camaraderie, right? Like, have you ever been in an actual knockdown, drag-out fist fight before?
Yeah, and at the end, there's a mutual respect
Yeah.
for your adversary.
Yep.
Which, I mean,
It's weird. It's a total juxtaposition of why you're there in the first place. How you started to be in the position you're in. You wanted to, if there weren't laws against it, you wanted to kill that person, and then you're doing everything you can to harm them, but then all of a sudden something in you flips, and you're like, "All right, man, good." Like, hey, you want to go chill, grab a burger.
right? Reflect on what just happened, and maybe can put this behind us. But he shot Barbara. Like, that was the whole story is perverse and great. We're talking about Killing Joke, Marcus.
Just a sec, guys. I need to pop out of this for a minute.
Okay.
I just found out that a very good friend who is very big in the Toronto science fiction community just passed away this morning.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Sorry, bro.
His name is Kelly McAlloran. He was one of the main people who did Ad Astra, which was the science fiction literary convention for 30 odd years.
Yep.
So I just wanted to give a shout out to him and his
Absolutely.
family. And we'll see.
Cheers to them.
Point.
Absolutely. Go do your thing, bud.
No,
Cheers.
I'm trying to keep going. There's nothing I can do about it, but I just want it to be said out into the ether so there's a tribute to him, and that's it. And he would be absolutely ecstatic to hear us talking about nerdy, stupid shit like this, no matter what. So
even though we're old.
That's why they're all dying.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh shit. Anyways, yeah, it is not a good day for the science fiction community in Toronto.
Yeah,
of course,
the big one. So, anyways, sorry, Killing Joke. My bad. I apologize for bringing it all the way down, but I felt something needed to be said.
No, that is more than worthy of our time. Absolutely.
And let's be honest, he didn't shoot Barbara. He just ruined a library book. He broke her spine. That's the joke he used.
You're not wrong.
And they evolved the character from there. So, you know.
They did a great job with that, to be honest.
Turning her into Oracle and all that was like.
And maybe that was all by design, right? Like, it wasn't like they accidentally wrote it in that they shot her and then went, oh, now what do we do?
I'm only 50-50 on that. I think there's a lot of stuff that somebody does and then goes, I hate Batgirl, so I'm just going to shoot her and put her in a wheelchair and she can't be Batgirl anymore.
100%.
Somebody else went, I love Batgirl, but she's broken. So
100%. And if the stories of the Star Wars movies are to be believed, that's what Rian Johnson did, was came in and unzipped and pulled out his tiny little pecker and pissed all over the Star Wars universe, and then they had to try and pick it back up and brush it off, and it still had a yellow smell pee stain to it, and they tried to do what they could.
So they brought in Kathleen Kennedy to fix it?
Yeah, well, she's got a stink on her anyways.
I'm still pissed that I still haven't seen Rogue Squadron. I've been waiting for that for 5 fucking years now.
It's not going to happen.
I know it's not. Did she advertise it? It looked good. I was excited because Rogue Squadron is one of my favorite book series. I figured she was going to shit all over it, but I wanted to see what they did.
You'll see a Tesla Roadster 2 on the road before you see Rogue Squadron in theaters.
I would love. I don't. Even
Neither one is ever going to happen. By the way,
I would love a Disney Plus series of Rogue Squadron. I don't care. It would be awesome. I love it.
Not going to happen. I don't think you'll see. Well, not in their hands.
Yes.
So the other thing, briefly, not the Killing Joke, but Hush. One of the things I didn't like about Hush was it was almost like when TV shows introduce a new character and all the characters in the episode pretend like this character has been around for a while, and you go, you might as well be wearing a red shirt because you're not going to make it out of this episode. And Hush was very clear from the moment that I started reading that. I'm like, okay, well, your doctor best friend dude is the bad guy. Like, this is very obvious. Anyways,
with the Hush thing, yeah, I got that, but it's is it really about Hush, or is it about the person who orchestrated it all?
What happened to your audio?
What do you mean?
Mid sentence, it changed. Really?
Is it shit?
Now it's back.
Okay, that's weird.
Loose wire or something.
It's got to be a loose wire. So the last 2 pages of Hush, where it all comes together and you figure out who literally playing chess with the pieces. That's what I loved about it. Hush wasn't the surprise for me. The surprise was the last page of the book. Does that make sense?
Sure, fair enough. Whatever your takeaway is, I'm just saying it always takes me out of the element. It's like, do you remember have you ever watched The Sopranos, the full series?
I never finished it, to be honest.
Marcus, did you watch The Sopranos?
No, I never got into it.
Oh, okay.
It was too Italian. No, no. I'm
as a redheaded Italian, I'm offended by that.
Well, I would hope so.
I'm not. You can't offend me.
No, I neither. I never got into it because same reason I never got into Game of Thrones. It's just too popular, and I didn't want to have to deal with other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
I reject a lot of things based on that very same premise. But there's an episode where one of the main characters, the Tony's uncle, Junior Soprano, he's all of a sudden dating this woman, and it becomes a big thing that he goes down on her. And apparently, you don't do that as a man. And it's seen as weak. And then by the end of the episode, he totally ditches this woman, and who she's like screaming out her love for him, and no, Corrado, don't do this. And it's like, you were only in this episode for this purpose. We knew it as soon as you came on screen and you were in the episode. You're a red shirt.
That makes sense. Yeah, it takes you out of the element. Yeah,
everybody should know the rule is eat it before you beat it. Like, that's just everybody knows that. Like, it's like those guys who say, "Oh, I won't wipe my own ass because that's gay." Like, shut the hell up and get away from me, you stinky prick.
Who says that?
I've heard that said before. They're like, "Oh yeah, no, I like you smell bad. Wipe your ass." He's like, "No."
Well, those people are
Nobody's touching my
very
ass.
highly
Homophobic and
self-hating gays.
yeah, no kidding. Like if you're any further in the closet, you'd be in Narnia, dude. Like shit.
Okay, so Batman's gone. What am I at now? 4?
You got Spider-Man.
I have
Iron Man.
Iron Man and Daredevil.
Yeah,
But
you got to keep one of those.
But how many have I gotten rid of? I got rid of Superman. I got rid of Batman. I got rid of Thor
Flash.
and Flash. So I've gotten rid of 4, and so now I'm on a keep, right? I have to.
You're on a keep. Spider-Man, Iron Man.
I got to say, based on my criteria that I've been going on, and based on my interests, I've got to keep.
It's getting harder and harder.
It is, and I'm looking at these 3, and they're 3 of my biggest collection. So I'm going to keep Daredevil.
Wow. Okay. And we know the reason. You're a Daredevil guy.
Yeah,
Most disappointed by a Daredevil movie.
100%. Yep, worst superhero movie on record as my account. And the reason being is because I was such a big fan.
Did we say worst superhero movie or worst comic book movie?
We defined it as superheroes,
Okay.
which opened up, because we discussed it, opened up the possibilities for not necessarily comic book movies, but superhero movies.
No, just before you got here today, Jordan and I were discussing a wonderfully horrible comic book movie, and I'm like, I didn't bring it up last week. Why did I not? And I couldn't remember if we said specifically superhero or just comics. So we'll save that for a comic book movie at some point.
Okay.
Yeah, right?
You have to watch it first, Jordan, and then we can talk about it. I'll send you the link after, Chris.
Okay. So now I'm down to the final 2. Who gets the nod, Spider-Man or Iron Man?
It's got to be Spidey, right? This is my guess. This is my guess. Marcus, do you have a guess? Does he keep Spider-Man or Iron Man?
Oh, Spider-Man. Iron Man's like Batman. He just solves his problems with money, and his angst is all internally generated. Spider-Man overcomes all odds. Like he has to fight for everything he gets and everything he does. And every time he turns around, it's getting yanked out from under him. Tony gets to drink his ass off, become an alcoholic, and still play with billion-dollar toys. Yeah, like that's my take. But Chris, what's yours?
You both make valid arguments.
However,
I've already made my decision when I started the list, and I thought it would come down to these 2. I didn't intend for it to, but I thought it would. And much in line with what Marcus said just 5 minutes ago about not watching something because it's the popular decision, that plays into it slightly. But moreover, while I agree with what Marcus just said about Spider-Man and what you too, Jordan, said about Spider-Man, I also reject, based on the fact that while thinking about it, I can't recall a time where I wasn't interested in an Iron Man issue. And I can't say the same about Spider-Man. There were periods of time where Spider-Man, either due to overexposure through multiple titles or just...
And mediums.
True, yeah. And repeated tellings of origin stories and even ruinations of origin stories. I'm looking directly at you, Amazing Spider-Man movies. Eat a dick.
Leave Mark Webb alone.
No.
Is that a Spider-Man joke?
Didn't he was the director for Amazing Spider-Man, wasn't he?
It's the web part I was making.
Yeah, I know. Okay, but you made me second guess myself.
I got to go with Iron Man. I'm keeping Iron Man.
That's okay.
It's a hard decision. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, you had to do one or the other, right?
And again, as far as if someone says to me, or someone asks me, if I were to pick up comic books, I've never read comic books, but because of the hype of all the movies and stuff, I want to see what the origin of why these movies were so successful. So, what would you recommend as a go-to to start reading comics to feel the hype? It's almost like people used to ask, if you were to get into Doctor Who, what's the episode? And tons of people would use the episode called Blink as the first appearance of the Weeping Angels.
Absolutely. Blink's a fantastic episode.
But it's not really a Doctor Who episode. So I've always rejected that because a lot of people, it's fantastic, don't get me wrong. But it's not, there's not a lot of Doctor Who involved in the actual episode.
That is a fair point. I would just start him off with season 9. I would go right to episode 1 of Eccleston. Just start it up with everybody else. Like, that's where a lot of people started. And
this is why they call us old.
You get old. You get all Doctor Who's.
What, he's not saying go back to Tom Baker.
Go back to Hartnell. Just start from the beginning. You only got 60 years of shit to get through. Good luck.
Right? No, so like if someone asks me what comics I would recommend, as far as like runs and things like that, I've held no secrets about how in love with like the original Infinity Gauntlet I was and still am 30 years later. But I wouldn't recommend that to a first-time reader because it wouldn't make sense.
Too much going on, and
too many characters, too many backstories. You don't know what their influences are. Doctor Doom being psycho about he's going to grab the Gauntlet of Power. I mean, it makes sense on the surface that he's a bad guy who wants the power for himself, but to understand how that's actually a threat that he possibly could have achieved that goal.
So what you're saying is you're just going to start him off with Robert Downey Jr. in comics? Right? You're literally going to give him the roadmap of Kevin Feige's MCU?
I can't even put into words how much I want to hurt you right now.
Yeah, is it because I'm right and you don't like that?
That's not where I was going. I was going to
say nobody likes when you're right, Jordan.
They hate it.
Well, because it's so rare. But
broken clock.
So no, my point wasn't that Iron Man is the where you should start. What I was going to point out is that of the stories that you could hand to somebody as a run in comics history, one of the ones that I would offer is Iron Man Armor Wars, the original Armor Wars from the 80s. That and amongst other, but that springs to mind based on the fact that we're talking about Iron Man. So there's so much involved in that, again, about character development, about dealing with actual human issues, him being an alcoholic and not really paying attention to where his money was coming from in the moralistic point of things. He's an arms dealer, and he didn't really realize that it's not just about selling missiles to both sides. It's about people have been taking his technology and doing other things with it, and good or bad, because he went after the vault and the guardsmen at the vault. Their entire suits were using his armor technology. And how did they get their hands on that? And how did they do it on his watch with all of his fail safes and all this kind of stuff? How were they able to capture that technology and harness it and utilize it? Crimson Dynamo, all of the people that he went after, Stilt was even one of them. And who gives a shit about Stilt? But it was an interesting issue. He had to go after all these characters because they were all using his technology, and he didn't care whether they were using it for supposed good reasons or bad reasons. It was his. They stole it, and it made him realize what he's unleashed on the world. And it's such a great story, even beyond being superhero and comic book related.
Yeah, but he's also severely on the wrong side of the Sokovian Accords, which is a problem.
100%.
Oh, here we go.
I agree
Here we go. Is he?
He is.
Is he?
He
Really,
is.
you're for the Mutant Registration Act?
You racist.
Not Mutant Registration
It's
Act.
the same thing.
It's
literally
not the same
exact
thing.
Same thing.
It
No,
is.
it's not. No,
It
it's
is.
not.
It is.
And here we go down to Civil War again. Okay, it's not. It's not the same thing.
Really?
No one said if you have powers, you have to register. If you were not in Civil War
Which one, the movie or the comic?
comic. It is about masked vigilantes. It is not about having powers. Period. It's about if you're going to jump on the streets.
Punisher doesn't wear a mask. Luke Cage wasn't wearing a mask at the time. They were still expected to.
They were already known. They were already known people, right?
Right, but they would need to register and act under the guidelines.
Correct. Because of what? Their actions, not because of who they were.
Control and
Right.
fear.
So if you want, it wasn't
but-
about control and fear. It was about saving lives. Right.
It
Right,
was
but-
about we have weapons walking around that we can't control, and we want them to be able to get permission before they're allowed to use their powers.
And even
Trust me. I understand about government overreach. I get that because
right, but
where does it
what you're
stop?
arguing for is that, and it's the slippery slope argument, because you're going, no, it's because they knew who they were, so then therefore we should accept that Tony was right and everyone should be registered. But where does that registration stop? Right? And where does the regulation associated with that registration stop?
If
It's an open book to do what they want, and it's the first page.
Which I get, but if you are going to be throwing buses at said bad guys, they want you to be able
the bad guys
to.
that deserved it.
They did deserve it, but again, it comes down who's accountable. Yeah. Obviously, because I'm masked, I'm not accountable, and I can go throw that bus full of civilians at people, or I can do whatever I want with no consequences, and that was the whole point: the consequences to their actions. They killed how many people because they were filming a TV show?
But how many more would have died had they not?
I don't think Nova would have gone Nova. It wasn't Nova. Nitro.
Nitro, the exploding man.
Yeah. Would he have gone nitrous? I don't think so. I don't think his intent was to walk up to a school and just blow it up, right? They were just doing C-D level stuff, robbing a bank or whatever. There was no master plan of I lost everything you just did. I lost you. Uh-oh. He's on the phone. Got it. Marcus, you're still here, right? Did I lose Marcus too?
No, I'm just screwing with you.
That was awesome.
That was good. I was like, he's messing with me or whatever. Yeah.
That's weird. So when I answered the call, now my video is
you zoomed in and it is weird. You still like it. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom.
No, sadly, we can still see you.
Going back to, you know what? One of the top two things I hate is people eating jelly in front of me and mouse clicking.
Really? Mouse clicking?
That's weird.
Mouse clicking. It is weird. Oh, yeah. Love you guys, too. Okay, so we got Chris's list. Let's go to Marcus's villain list.
Oh, here we go.
You ready? Marcus, keep 5, cut 5. Joker, Thanos, Loki, Darkseid, Magneto, Luther,
all right,
Green Goblin, Kingpin.
Let's pause for a second and welcome Andrew, the artist for the independent comic book phenomenon known as Formosa Comics, and then he's gone again. What'd you do?
Hello, am I there?
You are here, yes.
In the dark? Nobody gets that.
Yeah, all right. Well, hello, gentlemen. With Shakes from Asia.
Nice. Whereabouts?
Central Taiwan on the far eastern seaboard.
Beautiful.
You're You're the second youngest guy in this chat, yet you've got the most boomer angle out of all of us.
Is this better?
That's funny.
Put it so like you've got all this headroom.
Hang on a sec, guys. I got some work thing I have to do. I'll be right back.
Not a
Okay.
problem.
So Andrew is an old friend of mine who actually does artwork for a brand called Formosa Comics. What are the title? Do you have more than one title?
2 titles going right now. One is our flagship, Formosa Comics Presents, which is kind of a backdrop. This is a more of a throwback to one of the old sci-fi supernatural comics, which just has short stories in it, and it's a backdrop to our flagship actual story, which is the Renovators, which would be like the Fantastic Four of our universe. This is our number one go-to super team. Go
Do you have
Renegades.
any? You
That's
working?
cool.
Are you working on anything right there on your desk in front of you that you could just flash up and show us?
Right behind me. Right now. What page I was working on?
He's usually got some that he's working on right there whenever we're chatting.
Amazing. Oh,
Seemed like that's what sounded like respectable. It's just one. You can see that
Nice.
that's awesome.
the cityscape.
Yeah, go.
So,
Let's
so
see
what
the
are we looking
characters
at
the
here?
bottom.
Yeah. What are we looking at? Tell us about what we
I
see.
myself here. I don't know what's going on, but
Lift up, raise up just a bit. No, here
Oh,
we'll
there.
guide you. We'll guide you.
I'm new. Anyway,
No. Bring it back. Bring it back.
We want to see who the characters are.
We want to see the characters
Yeah,
at the
talk
bottom.
us through it.
Lift
Now,
up
now raise up just a bit and come
and
closer.
forward.
Now come closer and down. There, right there. No, right there. Yeah, stop.
Here?
Yeah.
Oh, I love the art style, dude.
Yeah, that's well done.
This is just a cityscape of going like looking up at some buildings. So,
Right on.
And by the way, just for the record, you two are dicks by making me be racist. Just for the record.
We didn't make you do anything.
You
but
did. You told me we've got a buddy calling in from Taiwan named Andrew, and I immediately assumed they were Chinese, something of some kind of Asian descent, and then this old white guy with a freaking cowboy hat.
Excuse
shows
me.
up,
Did you
and I'm
just
like,
assume his race?
I absolutely did. I 100%. So screw you for making.
No,
me
I mean you're
racist.
assuming he's white. So weird.
Yeah, because visual cues are so hard to come by.
And how do you know he goes by he?
like I'm the last of the Mohicans.
Okay, so Andrew, what we've been doing is we just got through a list of 5x5, which means Jordan gave me a list of superheroes, and I had to cut 5 and keep 5. And you would hate who I cut, because I cut Superman, Batman, Flash, 3 of your favorites, Thor, and Spider-Man, and I kept Captain
What the-
America. Listen,
All right.
and you know who I am, so I kept Captain America, Iron Man, Daredevil, Wolverine, and Punisher.
You threw out Superman for the Punisher?
That's what I said.
mission is this?
Amazing.
I
Oh,
don't
we're
get it.
throwing down now.
He even said that Andrew would be pissed at me.
You have your Superman ring. I have my Punisher ring.
It doesn't matter. There's only one good ring, and that's the Green Lanterns, right?
I have one of those
I
too.
agree with
One
that.
good ring. There's 7 of them, but one good ring.
One good ring. Yeah,
That's
there
the
might be
worst
7
ring,
rings.
bro.
Fair.
So now we're on to Marcus, and Marcus is going to do a 5x5 of villains, and the villains that he has to choose from, and we will discuss as he goes through them. The villains he has to discuss are the Joker, Thanos, Loki, Darkseid, Magneto, someone named Luther. Is there a first name there? Or is it?
Lex.
Alexander.
Green? Yes, I mean Green Goblin, Kingpin, Dark Phoenix, and Mr. Sinister. So let's kick it off with kill one off.
I'm going to get rid of Mr. Sinister because
I
I don't know
figured that
enough
was
about
easy.
him. I don't know enough about him to know whether or not he was any good or not. I
Yeah,
think
he's
he was
a-
an X-Men foil.
Yeah,
wasn't he?
X-Men villain. Yeah,
Yeah.
one trick pony, really. I mean,
He's neat. He's creepy, but
Yeah,
not very much with him.
they didn't really do much with the character over time. Like he
Correct.
hit like a lead balloon when he first came on the scene, and then they just sort of let it die off and didn't really do much.
Well, fair enough.
Can I say one thing about Mr. Sinister?
Absolutely. That's why we're here.
Mr. Sinister to me strikes me as a poorly thought out mega character that they want to have like a deep dark story, like a good backstory, and he's kind of always been around, almost like Apocalypse or something like that, where like they retroactively he's always been hanging around and manipulating things in the shadow, but it was so poorly done and shallowly done that, like Crunk said, he just came off like a one trick pony.
Can't call me that on here. I'm Camera Chris.
Sorry, Camera Chris.
No one knows what a crunk is over here.
No, I just made that word up anyway. And so,
I love a crunk.
Yeah, I just thought that he was underutilized and shoddily done as in terms of a real like shadow figure that had sweeping wings.
Yeah,
everywhere.
shoehorn, right? He would just shoehorned in.
Well, I mean, how shadowy can you be when you've got the name Sinister in your title? I mean, it's a little obvious, right? A little on the nose.
Mr. Sinister's neighborhood.
Here's Plastic Man. Oh, what do you do?
I'm plastic, and I'm kind of creepy. That's what I do.
He's very creepy.
He is. He's a little
Okay.
rapey.
Is
Well,
Mr.
yeah.
Sinister the original Dr. Evil?
$1 million.
Yeah, it's those obvious titles, right? You know, whereas as we've mentioned a few times, you have Doctor Who, which what does that even mean? You know, and it
That's a
you
good
know
point.
that's where you want to go with it. Well, but I mean, I guess Spider-Man is kind of on the nose too.
They all.
Oh, right. But spider, he could be a good spider, a bad spider.
That's kind of my point. Is the label of Mr. Sinister is more of an adjective.
Mr.
than-
Good.
Yeah.
Mr. Good.
Yeah, it's they're more like the Mr. Men titles, right? Like it's
What were those books?
Mr. Men,
Man,
Mr. Ben is
Yeah.
like Miss Worry and like
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Little Miss Giggles, and all that kind of stuff. So who are you going to keep as your first keep?
well, I think the easy keep is Loki. Loki is a great foil for not just Thor, but across the board. They really played into him for the movies and made him, brought him up from a secondary Shakespearean villain into something actually useful. And he had, I don't know much about the comic books, but in the movies and stuff, he's had the most growth out of any of the characters.
Loki is the reason for the Avengers in the comics.
What is with your head, Jordan?
It's the one he was given at birth.
I know, but does it not look like it doesn't match his body?
It's because he's very shrugging.
You're shrugging.
I'm not. I'm sitting. Is it my angle maybe?
Maybe your angle. It just looks like you're like a giant head sitting on top of a tiny body.
Human
Gotta
ramp.
make
You
it-
need a more boomer angle, apparently.
Yeah, right? Like here, one sec.
You guys have all heard.
Is this better?
Yeah, much better.
Yeah, okay, good.
No, you
You
gotta
guys have all heard.
you gotta go low so you're down here, like your face is here.
Is this thing on? Are we good with this? Okay.
My dad's a real boomer.
So who is your first keep?
My first keep is Loki.
Okay. I mean, you make some good points. I wouldn't have picked him as my first like
you
fail-safe
just-
go-to. Gotta have. So that's interesting.
I just messed up.
You unfocus yourself. Leave and come back.
Yeah.
No, I mean like walk out of the frame and come back in. He didn't have to leave, but whatever.
This is all your fault.
Amateur hour.
Who's running this show around here anyway?
Sadly, human ramp.
Oh God.
That's
This
the
is
worst.
not working.
The guy in the wheelchair.
This is not working. Okay, I'll fix
All
it right now.
My
ahead.
second go away, I'm going to go Joker. And I know that's controversial, but
I almost
Joker
kicked him.
is a crappy villain outside of Gotham. If you do not
Agreed.
have him paired with Batman, he is absolutely useless as tits on a nun. He's
Tell that
not
to Lois
worth it.
Lane.
But that's the thing. He tried
I've seen
once
some pretty hot nuns.
and was killed instantly by Superman punching a hole through him. Like, he can do the psychological crap on Batman, and Batman can take it and dish it back. Superman doesn't. The New 52, the Joker tried to do something in Metropolis because he was bored with Gotham. And he says, there are 9 bombs put throughout town. You'll never find them in town. Oh, these bombs? Oh, yeah, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, yeah, that's all of them. And he just kind of throws them into space and goes, yeah, you're going back to Arkham. He goes, but I like it here. You all have these bright colors. Like, we all look like we shop at the same hot topic in Gotham. And Superman starts laughing, and he goes, that's pretty funny. And Joker's like, what are you doing? What? No, what? Laughing? You know, you shouldn't be laughing. This is wrong. Like, what is going on? And he kind of picks him up by the scruff and flies him back to Gotham. And Superman's kind of chuckling on the way back. That was pretty funny. And Joker's like, this is wrong. Something's not good. It's the same thing he did in Batman Beyond when Terry McGinnis is laughing at his jokes and making jokes back to him. He can't handle it. His jokes are meant to not be funny and specifically to screw with Batman. If Batman's not there, the Joker's useless. And I'm not even talking about the incel horseshit thing they did on the Joker movie that had literally nothing to do with Batman at all.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not talking about that. I'm not here to talk about that.
That's my point.
The bastardization of, I mean, I guess not one of the.
You don't want to talk about what a great Joker Jack Nicholson did?
I love Jack.
Talk about that,
but that's fine.
Oh, we will. We will.
But my point is, as a character, without another character to be his foil and one specific character to be his foil, he's useless.
You're saying Joker's just Waldorf without a Statler?
Pretty much, yeah. Like, or more yin without a yang. Like, without.
You made me.
You made me. You know, like, yeah. It's cyclical. They're literally tied together 100%. And there's no way to separate them. If you want to go back to the Killing Joke, Batman was around before the Joker, slightly, if you believe the origin story of the Joker that's there, because there's about 9,000 origin stories. None of them have been proven.
That's what I like about it.
But if you look at it that way, he was the Batman. If you look at Batman, the movie, you made me, I made you nonsense. Like, there's so many ways you can go with this.
Pretty sure he fell in a vat of acid, though. That's the official story, right? I watched it happen.
But it's happened. That is actually the only touch point that almost everybody agrees on.
Andrew?
So you raised a real good point that I agree 100% with, in that Joker kind of only exists in Batman's realm. It doesn't work outside of Gotham City. But then I was thinking, too, I think that's indicative of most enemies. Like, Lex Luthor doesn't screw with Green Lantern. And that's hold on, that's easily explained, understandable, because he has a hard-on for Superman, whatever. But all of these guys, it's like, the Green Goblin doesn't really get mixed up with Punisher or Daredevil, you know, they're all in New York. And like,
I have 3 words for you. Kingpin.
Kingpin is one of those cross ones. So is Doctor Doom. So is Darkseid to some degree. And there are these guys that have this. But what I'm saying is, I think it's a bit of a shortcoming that they don't have, and they do have it, but they don't make up rivalries between bad guys and other good guys. They almost seem like, okay, that's your, like, okay, the Lone Ranger, you have to fight Butch Cavendish every time now. And like they just don't switch it up. That's your bad guy and that's your nemesis, and they just keep it on track. And you can keep adding on nemesis, but like, why doesn't Captain Cold come to Gotham sometimes? Yeah,
Nemesis?
Octopedes, I don't know.
Nemesis.
So
You're not wrong. I agree with that, because if Luthor moved into Gotham and LexCorp started building up, Batman would just crash into the main office, beat the shit out of him, and send him right back to Metropolis, right?
No, that's not what
It's funny that I cut Batman, eh? Look at this.
Yeah. No, he wouldn't beat up Luthor. He would just use Wayne Foundation to crush Luthor and send him out of town.
Okay, but wouldn't that be a good story? Wouldn't that be a good story? You could have like almost like
A power
Like a
struggle?
corporate-
Yeah. It'd be Bruce Wayne versus instead
Yeah,
of
let's
Batman.
read about corporate espionage.
They've actually
Well,
done
we
it
watched
where
Wall
Wayne
Street.
goes to Enterprise, Wayne goes to Gotham and comes up against Luthor, not realizing that he's the big bad for Superman. They eventually,
Oh, great. Two rich white men fighting over offices.
Take-
What a great story.
Taking these ideas and thinking just outside the box, maybe we could translate this into other IPs. What if we took the corporate angle and the politics of your suggestions here and did it in a Star Wars movie? We could have a whole movie about how the Senate gets taken over by the Emperor. And well, actually, he won't even be the Emperor yet. We could see that that's his rise to power as the Emperor because he's just a senator, but maybe he needs more. This is really good. We should do this.
I think it's a stretch. I don't think that'll work.
You're probably right. It'll
you
probably
guys are
suck.
assuming- you guys are like making light of the fact that these corporate entities are actual supervillains in many cases, even
It's
in real
true.
life. And there's all kinds of movies.
You mean
and all
Lex
kinds of things
Bezos?
Yeah, Lex Bezos. And
Lex
just think that
Bezos, that's amazing.
and the movie Wall Street was all about corporate power, and there's all kinds of like even if you get into the space stuff with like it turns into Game of Thrones with the Shi'ar Galaxy and the Skrulls and all this. Like how much power and control do you want to talk about? Like I actually think that could be a good one. Bruce Wayne versus Lex Luthor, and also Batman on the street level trying to deal with the almost like Intergang and Superman in the early '90s.
It's not a bad idea. I mean, I like it on the level to have that actually happen. It'd be a great thing. And obviously, where's Superman throughout this? He's in the basement of LexCorp. Most DC stories.
Okay, so moving forward. So we got rid of the Joker. We kept Loki. We got rid of Mr. Sinister. So we're on a keep.
Oh, I'm gonna have to keep Magneto. Magneto is a powerful villain that has a complicated backstory that really is more fleshed out than most of the X-Men. Like his backstory and his rise to power and everything like that is stuff of legend. It really is God creation on Earth. And the fact that it's rooted this is going to sound really stupid for a superhero movie, but it's rooted in reality. Like if you had these powers and this happened to you, this is what you would do. And it hits that same tone for me that the villains in the Kingsman do. He's not wrong. All he wants is for him and his kind of people to have rights, to be normal citizens, to leave us the hell alone. And it's the same civil right fight
As
that
the
has happened in
transgender
world.
movement. We get it.
Okay, but the transgender movement don't have superpowers and can't enforce it.
They are highly offended by that. And
No,
they're not even watching, but they're already
have-
offended.
They're transformers.
They have the ability to warp reality.
you're so loud.
Oh, sorry. They have the ability to warp reality around them.
That is true. I will give you that. And force other people to do the same.
Yeah, they got the same power as Zaphod Beeblebrock's spaceship, the Heart of Gold.
Exactly.
Warp reality. It's fun.
I literally had one. Someone posted the "It's Ma'am" video this morning,
I love that.
and I commented on it, and someone said, "Well, whatever they said, they were basically chastising me for not bowing down and saying that this is a woman." And I'm just like, you know what? And someone said, "Oh, you know, this is people have been transgender for eons, and this is nothing new, and you guys want to think it's new." And I go, you know what? They've been doing circumcisions for thousands of years, and you can't convince me that that's a good thing.
And also, I don't think eunuchs are considered transgender. They're just considered.
Yes. Right?
Amazing.
But did you ask a eunuch how they identify?
Look, I don't hang out with the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, but like I came here to talk about comic books.
Yes. And
what's-
transgenderism is part of comic
No,
books
that-
now.
All right, so you're denying that Magneto
It's
is
run
a
by
transgender
it's,
mutant.
the comic industry is run by them now.
That's oh God, that's not what I. All right, anyway, sorry, Marcus. You're keeping Magneto.
Yep.
I identify
Any-
as Michael Jackson, and my pronouns are
Anyone have any reason, not that we're voting, but any qualms about keeping Magneto as it should have been your first. That's like, for me, that's a lock.
I am just following this journey that he's choosing because I was shocked that he cut Joker like as an easy cut.
Listen,
So
his first two takes are hot takes as far as I'm concerned. Loki
And
as
that's what I do.
Loki as a hardcore keep, and the Joker as a hardcore let go.
But I understand what his argument was, so I'm
Yep.
just following the road that he's paving for us. So kill another one.
Yeah, here's another hot take for you. Let's axe Thanos.
I could kick him. You want me to kick him?
The
How do you want me to?
reason we have to axe Thanos is because he's stupid.
How so?
You have all the power in the Infinity Stone, and you wipe out half the planet instead of doubling the resources in the universe. That's just stupid. I would prefer to
Okay,
get
but
mass murder than just put more resources out there.
are you referring to movie Thanos or comic Thanos?
Both movie Thanos and
No.
is just as dumb, but comic Thanos does the same stupid shit.
No.
His motivation's different.
Yes, the motivation is 100% different.
Just
He-
as dumb though.
He wanted some skeleton pussy, and he was going to do whatever it took to get it.
Oh, yeah, the courting death thing, I get that. But with the Infinity Gauntlet, he could have created an entire planet of life and wiped them out just as quickly to get the same body count without actually destroying the universe.
But he created life in Taraxia. He called her the perfect being, his perfect mate. But it's still, he realizes that even with ultimate power, you can't create the perfect companion. And his perfect companion was Lady Death. So while I see your point, I can't get behind it because that's not what, and yes, in the movies, you're right, because they totally negated his entire MO. His whole motive was bastardized. So, but in the comic books, there's no way. Like, I mean, yes, I think it's, if you want to go relatable, like we've been talking about Peter Parker and how DC tries to figure out why they succeed with the interpersonal part of their characters that they can't, and the differences between a Peter Parker and a Bruce Wayne as far as relatability. Who among us with a dangle in our pants can't appreciate that he was willing to do whatever it took to appeal to the piece that he was trying to tear a strip off?
I can't deny that. I will give you that. But it's still a stupid reason to do something.
And we've all felt that stupidity at
Absolutely.
multiple times in our lives. Like, what did we just sacrifice for that? It wasn't even that good. It was barely damp.
But if you put up against Magneto doing his suffering and trying to make the world a better place for his type of people, despite everybody shitting on him, and someone who wants to get a piece of ass, that guy's an idiot.
Okay, but
Thanos is an intergalactic bro dude fuckboy.
right, but they evolved the character with when Thanos Rising came out. So you see his backstory and see that he was manipulated from birth and tortured from birth. His own mother tried to kill him on his birthing table. And so he's competing against his own family, his own people hating him, combined with the manipulation of Lady Death from his birth, of trying to condition him to do her bidding for him, which absolutely, and they showed him to be a super genius on the levels and beyond of that of Reed Richards and Tony Stark. And so you combine that super genius factor with an evil manipulating force who is then, like, basically an intergalactic tease because she never intended to give up the P anyways. So,
Well, Andrew's got a point, or Hank Truck, sorry.
Yeah. How do you guys like? Do you wave or just like? I don't want to cut anybody off.
Jump in and start talking because neither one of us shut up ever.
yep.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
You just follow my model and sit here.
Yeah.
Yeah, just have your big head float, and then when you want to do it, just like wobble it or something. Or
Very good. Very good. Okay. So what I'm thinking about, I kind of agree with what Mark is saying, but I also do agree that in the comic books, it was better written and his motivation was more clear, that he was doing it for this girl and he was in love and he was delusional. And he's also like an intergalactic psychopathic lunatic that on a scale we've never seen before. So in the comics, I thought it was done better. And in the movies,
and to be fair, they have more time to flesh out characters and storylines.
Absolutely. And I'll give the movies a lean on that one.
And the movies weren't allowed to read the source material, so that's another problem.
I don't know if that was true back then, though.
The last thing I would just like to say is I'm also going to bet that Marcus is ejecting Thanos for being a weak, watered-down Darkseid ripoff. And he's probably going to keep him on his next thing because Thanos was also going for that. And as Crunk alluded to, Chris alluded to, he's also getting into this space opera thing where his mother's trying to kill him, which is very much like Kronos trying to eat his own babies and getting safe. So like, and I don't think the writing was bad in the comics, but in the movies is watered down. But also the original Kirby Darkseid is this absolute space epic, like Odyssey.
The only other thing I'm going to say about Kronos before we go talk about keeping Darkseid, because he was absolutely correct. The only thing about Thanos is he might be a super genius, but I know a lot of super genius nerdy types that have no social skills and no street smarts because they're idiots. My children are the same way. They're incredibly intelligent, and my one son is dumb as a post when it comes to anything rooted in reality. I love him. I love him a lot, but I put it this way. He lives in Brampton at college right now. He had to come back to Niagara, and I told him to take the GO bus. I had to go pick him up from school because his plan...
And put him on the GO bus.
No. His plan was to get on the GO bus and travel to Union Station to then get on the Lakeshore bus and travel all the way to Niagara. And by the time I figured out what his plan was, there was not enough time for him to get to me, so I had to drive to Brampton because of it. I'm like, you're in Mississauga with all the buses. Take the bus down to Port Credit Station and come across. Why would you add 2.5 hours to your trip to go all the way out to Toronto and then back? That's dumb. But he's got no concept of life and reality. But in a science setting, he's a genius. So Thanos is like the ultimate, incredibly smart, stupid guy who's led around by his junk. That is my take on it. Again, whichever way you want to look at it, movies or comics, he is, as Hank said, a watered-down version of Darkseid. So let's move along to the next keep, which is Darkseid. Darkseid is a formidable villain who has threatened Earth multiple times, has been defeated by the skin of their teeth. He can go toe-to-toe with Superman and keep up. And his motivation is to wipe out all life in the universe with the anti-life equation. He's going for that. And so he's not trying to do this half-ass thing with, half the universe will die. No, he wants it all dead so he can start again and do his thing. He is a considerably more dangerous and scary villain than Thanos ever was. And the one time he was defeated by Batman, as Superman and Supergirl are going toe-to-toe and battling it out and trying to win, Batman hacked all the Hellspore bombs, activated them all, and said, one will terraform a planet. What will 500 do to Warworld? And Thanos goes, you will release that to me. I will kill you. And he goes, go ahead and kill me. Nothing's going to change. And he goes, Well played. If the Kryptonian or the Amazonian had tried this, it would have been bullshit. But you will do it. I can see into your soul and your thing. You will actually destroy this planet with you on it. Those other two are too noble. You win. I'll go away. And so he is defeatable, but he knows every one of his opponents to the molecule, what they are and who they are. And so he can look and see, this is not a fight I can win. All right, I'm done.
I'm not refuting any of that.
Chris is going to try.
No. My only contention against Darkseid being top tier villain is his Omega beams don't really make sense.
Their tracker heat vision, I get that. I mean, the Mega Beams is not a great weapon, but he doesn't need them. He can just pulverize things on his own.
And I will say this, the greatest thing about Darkseid is the portrayal by Weird Al Yankovic.
Absolutely. That was a great portrayal. I love that.
You aware of that?
It was
In the Teen Titans Go cartoon, they actually got Weird Al to be the voice of Darkseid. Dude, you'd love it. It's hilarious.
It's hysterical.
You got this big bad Darkseid, and he's like, what are you guys doing? It's so great.
All right.
That's funny.
Check that out.
What do you got left? So you have,
Luthor, Goblin, Kingpin, Phoenix, and
I think that's it.
that's it.
All right. So are we at a lose?
You're at a cut.
Yep.
Doesn't stay easy.
Probably Green Goblin. He's a watered down wannabe. He's a Tony Stark Luthor wannabe. He's got a lot of money, and
I would have likened him to the Joker, actually.
Yeah, I thought that's where you were going.
Yes, but I liken him to Stark because he did it to himself. He created the stuff. His psychosis or split personality thing, he enhanced with the drug. He made all the toys. So he's like a
But where does he get those wonderful toys?
Yeah, except he
Invents
doesn't
them.
buy them. He makes them. That's another thing with Batman. Like, people got to know something. Like, he doesn't make all that crap himself. He doesn't build a car or a plane. He has to buy those. They did a little bit.
Same
of
with the U.S. government and governments around the world. They don't build the weapons. They're bought from private entities,
Contractor.
which totally negates everybody's claim that private citizens should not be able to own certain weaponry.
Yeah.
The
That's
government
funny.
the government buys them from private entities. So suck it.
Break it down.
I want a
Down,
tank.
down, down.
I do. So yeah, that's why again, we're going to go with movie portrayals. I don't really like, I mean, I thought he did a great job of it, but I don't think the character work was good in the movies.
Agreed.
Even when they brought it back for No Way Home, it wasn't great. Now, in the comics, it's not great either. He's just he's the supervillain that comes and goes. And even when he was head of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a while, like, it was just like, this doesn't make any sense.
I felt bad for Willem Dafoe in No Way Home. It looked like he was struggling, and it looked like they had him, like Dolly Parton, using things to hold himself up for the performance. Rewatch it with that in mind.
Yeah.
He really wanted to do his own stunts. That was, and he's old and feeble.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't
so it
forget.
makes sense. But he's like one of the conditions. So, Doc
Even
Ock,
his-
what's his name? It's eluding me right now. The actor.
Alfred Molina.
Yeah, Alfred. His process was, I'm not doing any of the stunts. I cannot. I'm 20 years older. Whereas Willem's stance is if I'm doing this, I'm doing all my own stunts to complete the thing. So it makes sense that where you would catch that he looked old and feeble because it was actually him doing it.
No,
But I
hold on.
disagree with everything that Marcus is saying. So everything.
Well,
100%.
Your option to be wrong is always there, dude.
Sure. Willem Dafoe's portrayal of Green Goblin and Norman was able to last 2 generations of film. and carry 2 Spider-Man films and 3 Spider-Man films now. I have not seen another actor portray a villain other than Josh Brolin and
Ian McKellen?
Tom Holland. Ian McKellen. No, I can't say he carried 3 films because X3,
Clearly, you've never seen Last Stand.
I have, and
That
that's
magnificent piece
that's
of
why
film.
I'm standing on my ground saying Ian McKellen has not carried 3 films. Because if he did, X3 would have been great.
Hey,
dare
Hugh
you.
Jackman carries those movies.
Did you guys hear that thing that Gandalf told all the rest of the party to run so he could get all the XP because he shows up later all super powered? Gandalf's just a dick.
That's
He's an
funny.
XP stealing dick. Anyways, go ahead.
And again, what I was saying, Willem Dafoe and Green Goblin in the movies is top tier. You can throw Loki and Thanos for long lasting impressions in movies, but you can't give me Joker. Joker's lasted 1 movie per trilogy of Batman.
Repeated over and over, yeah.
Right. You can't give me anyone other than Loki and Thanos, but
Willem Dafoe was so good at it that Alfred Molina coined his character after it, with the whole Golluming back and forth and the arguing with his alter ego.
that's Stan Lee. We did this last week. That's Stan Lee. But yeah, but you cut them. It is what it is. I mean, you've all your cuts would have been my keeps almost, minus Mr. Sinister. So I'm interested to see who you keep next.
The one to keep next, I hate to do it, but it's Dark Phoenix because there was such an arc and such a way that it had to be like this was a cataclysmic world-ending event that they had to fight and managed to get it only through the power of love, as far as I remember. The Dark Phoenix is a saga that has gone on for 40 years, popping up and again here and there. And as much as it was not dealt with well in the movies, it has been dealt with incredibly well in the comics.
I thought the movies portrayed her perfectly. No, not at all.
Okay, I wasn't going to say anything. Like, oh.
No, you should have shat all over that.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. First of all, say whatever you want and please do, because call him out for being a dumbass, because that was literally clickbait. But,
That didn't make no sense.
No.
I have almost walked out of the theater twice, and X-Men: The Last Stand was the first time I did that.
First time I've ever walked out of the theater was Dumb and Dumber. I couldn't handle it.
What?
Yeah, I
Too-
walked away. It was so
Too
stupid.
dumb?
Yeah,
Too-
too dumb.
too
I
dumb.
was like, I can't even deal with this. I'm out.
Fair. So you are keeping Dark Phoenix, and this leaves us with Kingpin and Lex.
And they are flip sides of the same coin. They are the powerful one on top of it and powerful one on the bottom of it.
Who, Lex and who?
Lex and Kingpin.
Kingpin, Wilson Fisk.
Oh, okay.
The white one, not the black one.
Yeah.
Right. So we're
'Cause
keeping
because-
the black one?
No, if it were the black one, he'd cut him immediately. He would have been his first cut. But we won't say why.
That's it. Thank you. Thank you for that. That's what I need. And I would cut the character, but not the actor, because the actor was.
No, you can't backpedal now. We know where you truly
absolutely
stand.
can backpedal now. Okay, so what am I on? Cut or keep?
Cut. I mean, you might as well,
Well, it's-
go
it's-
right to keep.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
to
your-
keep. I'm going to go with Luther as a keep because Luther is entire motivation is one part humanitarian, one part revenge. His original thing is nobody should have that much power without us knowing everything about you, which is the Mutant Registration Act, which is the Sokovian Accords. And one part, this guy has made me look like an asshole. and I need to do something about it. I will destroy him. And the best part is he doesn't believe that Superman could ever have a normal identity. He doesn't, in the core of his being, doesn't believe anybody with that much power would pretend to be normal.
Just like the 1%er that Luthor is. He can't see outside. Like Jeff Bezos can't hang out with normal people. Zuckerberg can't. Why would Superman be able to?
Really understand. The writers really understand the 1% mentality, right? In the second issue of Man of Steel, after the 6-arc reboot, excuse me a sec, the cover had a computer, and the title on the computer was Clark Kent is Superman. And everybody went, holy crap, did they just reveal the secret identity? No, it's actually a really good comic. Have you read it?
No, I've read it, and I was doing Luthor. He's like, this is bullshit.
Yeah, it's just bullshit.
This computer's screwed up.
Goes through,
I'm smarter than that.
Exactly. The woman goes through and totally finds every piece of data she can find on him, everything, and the computer spits out Clark Kent as Superman. And not only does Luthor reject it, he fires her, trashes the computer, wipes every piece of data.
Yep.
This is not possible. I'm out.
And I know that comic. It's the best.
2 years later, she shows up and she basically forces the issue and shoots Superman or shoots Clark Kent or something to prove, haha, I was right. You are Superman. And then immediately gets killed by something so that she can't tell anybody. It was an interesting little anecdote. The fact that Luthor lost a hand to kryptonite poisoning is amazing. He had a kryptonite ring that he had that would keep Superman away from him. And after like 10 years of wearing it, the radiation basically gave him hand cancer. And they're like, well, you were wearing a radioactive substance on your hand. He goes, it only affects Kryptonians. She goes, no, it affects Kryptonians quickly. It's still radioactive, moron. So Luthor has more to do than Kingpin. Kingpin is just a thug that got to the top of the heap. And then he was so destroyed and humiliated by Peter Parker that he just quit. He said, I'm out. No more Kingpinning for me, and stopped. Luthor has gotten his ass kicked by Superman I don't know how many times, and he keeps coming back for more. So he's a better character villain-wise than the Kingpin ever was, by my opinion. Go ahead, Chris.
So did you take out 6 guys and keep 4?
No, 5 and 5.
5 and 5. I kept Luthor and got rid of Kingpin.
Okay, so I'll try to keep track here, but I came in late. So you got rid of the Joker and Thanos.
I got rid of Joker, Thanos,
Green Goblin,
Kingpin,
and Luthor.
And Dark Phoenix.
No, he kept Phoenix.
He kept Phoenix.
Oh, he kept Phoenix. Oh, okay.
Luthor, yeah.
Lost Mr. Sinister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the keeps were Loki, Darkseid, Magneto, Luthor, and Phoenix.
All right. Now the math works. Okay.
Yeah. So that's my opinion. So
I personally would have kept Kingpin. Though I don't dispute any of what you're saying, I just find, as far as the good and the evil and the threat versus not threat, I find, though Kingpin isn't the superior intellect that Lex is, he's still very smart, but then he also has the physical aspect as well. And there were times where Luthor had the physical threat when he was
the suit or whatever.
Building suits and shit like that. But Kingpin is not only a threat, he originally was an unlikely threat. He was viewed as this obese, like not capable. And then they were like, no, you don't understand. He's not fat.
He's like Suge Knight.
See, that's who they should have gotten to play him. Not Michael Clark Duncan, Suge Knight. Not that Michael Clark Duncan isn't if you were to pick a
No.
black kingpin, I mean, you can't.
No, he was
Honestly.
probably the best part of that movie. But yeah, everyone likes Michael Clark Douglas. Duncan. Like that. Yeah, that's not a problem. But yeah, Suge Knight. Nobody.
But
liked
Suge
him.
Knight is yeah, and that's what you want in that character. Like Michael Clark Duncan, by all accounts, was a super cool dude, super chill, really nice to everybody. And knowing that, and you're watching this movie, it's like you might as well have picked. No, I don't want to say that name anymore, but I don't know.
Andre the Giant.
Well,
Huggable.
yeah. You might as well have picked a woman, though. Like, I mean, for the gentleness of the character, for the non-physical threat of the character.
Can you believe that he was married to Omarosa?
I believe that's
Like,
what was
poor
said.
bastard.
Do you
I don't know
believe?
who Omarosa is, but are you saying like Queen Latifah would have been a better kingpin?
Kind of.
Gender and race swap. We've hit peak Disney.
We did it with Magneto.
Yeah.
Now, on the other hand, don't knock Queen Latifah. She's actually turned out to be a surprisingly good actress. But anyways, go ahead.
She pretended she was straight for a long time, so yeah, she got shot.
Yeah.
Pretended she was a rapper. Fuck, she's been acting the whole time. She got game.
But pretending to be and making people believe it, that's the difference between acting and good acting.
Yes. Like Clark Gable, fantastic actor.
Words of
Nobody
wisdom.
knew he was gay. Rock Hudson, same thing. Nobody knew he was gay until
Marcus.
he died of AIDS.
It's a good point. Marcus, nobody knew he was gay.
That's why I had the beard.
Liberace.
Her name
Nobody.
is Lori. Liberace was an odd one. Everybody knew he was gay, but nobody believed it. That's a whole different story.
Richard Simmons.
Vince McMahon.
Yeah, Vince.
Suck it.
Perverts.
So yeah, so that's my 5 for 5.
That you're 5 for 5. I'm on the exact opposite of
So
what you
would
kept
your
and cut.
keeps have been? What would your keeps have been then?
First
Without
keep
explanation, just
out of the gate
run
is
it.
number 1, and my first cut would be Mr. Sinister.
Yeah.
That's obvious, but
It's an easy.
You gotta go.
you gotta throw a gimme in there. But I would have kept Joker just for his influence on culture, because recognizability, stories that involve the Joker are fantastic. Mark Hamill's work as the Joker is.
We're not talking about best portrayals. We're talking about the character.
I
Mark
know, but
Hamill's
his
Joker is
betrayal
phenomenal.
Influenced a lot
Every
of
other
the
one since.
every other one since, right? And that's my childhood was Batman Joker.
And you know the story behind him getting the Joker role, right?
I don't know why he got the Joker role.
He got asked because all the animators were big fans of Star Wars, and they said, "Hey, let's see if Mark Hamill wants to just do a voice." And he showed up to do Thug number 2 in some they wanted to just say, "Hey, you want to come do a voice because it'd be cool to meet you," and blah blah blah. And when he walked into the animation studios at Warner Brothers, they had all the character sketches up on the wall, and he went, "Oh my God, you're doing him? That's amazing! Mr. Freeze looks great." Because he's a massive Batman fan, and they were like, "Holy shit, he's a Batman fan." We
He's
weren't
also a
expecting
massive douche.
that. Hamill. I've
Yes.
never heard that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, everybody I've ever heard he was great.
No,
He
he's
seems like a nice guy, but he's one of those real far left. He's a little bit
Yep.
weird.
If you don't agree with his politics, he is a nightmare.
My brother's ex roommate actually dated his son for a long time. So, anyways, he got in, was nerding out about all the character sketches, and then the original Joker just wasn't working, and so they called him and said, "Hey, can you do some weird laughs? Because you're such a fan, we'd love to have you as part of the project." And he had just come off of 6 months of doing Salieri in Mozart. on Broadway, Amadeus on Broadway. And he just, for sheer lack of, or for sheer not trying to do the same stupid shit every night, he had a repertoire of insane laughs because Salieri goes mad. And he has all these insane laughs that he would change up every week. So he came in and did all these crazy laughs, and they went, "Oh my God, he's our guy." And so they tested him up. If you watch the first episode that the Joker's in, the voice doesn't quite match because he redubbed the previous Joker's material. And then after that, they built it around Hamill's voice, and it was amazing.
Well, much like Salieri, I would have preferred F. Murray Abraham.
Fair enough, but that wasn't the first Joker. Do you know who the first Joker was?
I do, but I don't remember. I know I've
Romero or the way back.
No.
No, he means in the cartoon.
The one he replaced.
Yeah,
Tim Curry.
Oh, I did know that.
Yeah.
Yep, I forgot.
He was crazy, insane. Like, it was good, but it wasn't what they needed for that particular series. And Joker shouldn't be British.
Neither should Charles Xavier.
That's true, but
why not? What kind of name is Xavier? Sounds British to me.
Or Charles.
Charles. Sounds pure British to me.
I think, it's almost like a kingly name, Charles.
And also, he had that old money. Like, where'd that come from? Like, that guy's obviously British.
From manipulating people with his mind.
No, but
he was the original Indian phone scammer before that was a thing.
My name is Charles Xavier. Please send me $100 as card.
Send me Bubs, pictures of Bubs.
Yeah, okay.
Here we get them in the
Can
mail.
You imagine what kinky shit he has to be into if you can see everybody's thoughts in their minds all the time.
Well, I'm sure he scores a lot. But all right, so Ramp, what's your second discard pickup here?
Oof. So, again, I said it. My second, because here's the thing, and we got to go with the well, yeah, got to cut the thing. You got to cut the thing right off.
Oh, villain?
Right off. No, he's not.
It's debatable.
The Thing, a villain?
I'm kidding. I wanted to see Andrew's reaction while he was drinking.
Got it. He's the best character in the Fantastic Four. Everyone else is just messed up.
You're not going to get an argument here.
No argument.
Yeah, like the other three can get out. He should start his new Fantastic Four. Anyways,
I'm going to step up for Mr. Fantastic here.
Are you?
Mr. Fantastic, yes.
The negative zone?
Look, Mr. Fantastic screws up a lot. He's like Xavier in that way because he's the leader of the team, so everything that goes wrong is his fault.
Well, is he a part of the Illuminati? Then he screws up a lot.
You know what? That crap, if Kirby knew about that secret call.
See? Didn't I say
angry. That? So I'm eschewing that part. I'm like, that whole fucking crap, I'm like, this seems like some modern Marvel communist gobbledygook to me. I'm like, I'm not down with it. And like all these guys, like, what we really need to do is form a secret society and take over the. Like, whoa! That doesn't sound very super.
We will manipulate the entire 616. We know a civil war is coming, and we don't know whose side Banner's going to be on. So let's just ship him off into outer space and make him some other planet's problem. That didn't bite them in the ass at all.
That almost makes sense to me, though, because depending on how bad of a week the Hulk's weakening, they've tried this several times. Remember, they separated him and he just got huge, and then they're like, "Oh, that didn't fucking work." And then they're like, "All right, now he's smart, so everything's fine." But then that blew up in their faces. Like, at what point is just like, you know what? Solitary confinement in the middle of outer space. That's a good place to be.
They had a great what if with Superman and Wolverine fighting, or Hulk and Wolverine fighting, and Hulk hit Wolverine so hard it dislodged one of the adamantium vertebrae in his neck and killed him.
That could do it.
Somebody threw him up into space when he was the Gray Hulk, so he was the smart-ass Dick Hulk. Threw him into Joe Chill, and they threw him into space, into orbit. And as soon as the sun came around, he turned back to Banner and died in space. So they did manage to kill him. It was a what if. It was really great. And that whole putting him together, all the different Gray Hulk, Green Hulk, Banner together when he became smart, that was actually a really good build-up series. Afterwards, it kind of tanked a little bit, but the actual episode where he combines and does all the work with Doc Samson and the Ringmaster to hypnotize him and get it figured out, they figured out that Banner
I love that
Banner,
issue.
Green Hulk is him as a toddler, like a very young boy, throwing tantrums and being all rage. The Gray
Freudian Hulk.
Yeah, teenage Hulk. And he had basically locked Green Hulk away in a box. And then the Gray Hulk manifested, which is another chunk of his psyche. And then they got out and they were fighting and beating each other. Banner smacked the shit out of the both of them, and he combined into a very big Green Hulk. And the very last line of that comic is, "Honey, I'm home." And it left it there for the...
No, that's not what he says. He comes through the door, and I believe the line is, he says, "What would you say to me?" or something like that, or "What would you..." It's something along those lines.
Nope, the very last phrase in that is, "Honey, I'm home." And then the next episode, she's like, "Really? You walk in like that and that's the line you use?" He's like, "I thought it would be clever." Like they actually did, because I've owned that. I've read that one several times. I love that one.
I have it signed by Dale Kean.
That's amazing.
I don't have it signed.
Andrew and I, a funny story. Andrew and I went to a comic convention back when they weren't cool.
Look,
And
camera, Chris. That's Mr. Truck to you on this podcast.
sorry, Truck. I call him Hank Drew. We went to comic convention back then, and Dale Kean was there, so I brought that issue to have it signed. And we're standing in a 2-hour lineup to wait to get it signed. And while we're going, we're at this convention again. This was back when they weren't cool, when people didn't dress up, and the people that
92, 93,
somewhere around 93, I think it was.
Yeah.
And there were only like 1 to every 30 people that were dressed up in any sort of way, and it wasn't sexy, it wasn't cool.
And the ratio was the same for chicks almost.
Yes, no, it was worse. It was
wasn't
probably
that bad.
1.
No, but it was like, it was like 1 in 15. There was moms there, and there was like there was
You're
girls
right,
there.
it was-
Moms, yeah.
I wish I knew then what I know about moms now. I would have been more hyperactive.
It's like 5 hot chicks in the whole place, maybe.
Yeah,
700 people, maybe 5 hot chicks.
and
I thought you were going to say their weight.
yeah, so we're there and we're thinking that we're the cool ones, because we were the cool guys in high school, and we thought we were cool at this comic convention, looking around going, man, what you hear about comic
Nerds.
conventions, we're nerds. And we really thought we were, and we're standing in this 2-hour lineup to meet Dale Kean, and then we're walking along, and as we're going through the lineup, there's this chair, and it's 2 hours of standing in this sweaty basement atmosphere down at the convention center, the lower level, and it was very stuffy and these unwashed miscreants. And I say that lovingly yet seriously.
Well, they look like us now.
True, yeah, they're all old too. So
Yeah, we are.
They were just like, they weren't there to look cool. They were there
Right.
to enjoy comic books.
So we were walking along, and I come across this chair, this random chair just sitting there, and I go, "Oh, we can actually sit down." So I grab this chair, and now he and I are taking turns carrying this chair up in the line with us and taking turns sitting in it. So every time we have to move, which is slow, we'll swap it out, and you take a break, I'll take a break, and then we get to a point where this security guard
Mike,
comes up to us, and he starts barking orders, and you guys, I forget what he was upset about originally, and then he turned his attention to the chair, and he's like, "You're not allowed to bring," and I'm doing justice to his voice, "You're not allowed to bring a chair, like not everybody has a chair." And we were like, "Well, we just saw it sitting there." "Yeah, but you can't do that, and you can't drag a chair along." And Andrew, sitting in the chair, just looks up at him and he goes,
Mr. Truck.
and this guy was freaking out. Like, he was very, very weirded out about us utilizing this chair. And Hank looks up at him and he goes, "Your tag's sticking out of your shirt." And he goes, "Oh, sorry." It totally diffused whatever muscle he thought he had. And we just went on about, and he was like, he goes, "Okay, well, just don't take it all the way up there." And we continued on with our chair business.
Where were you?
It was at the convention center downtown.
Like Toronto?
Yep.
What was it? FanCon or was it something else?
It was before any of that even existed, as far as I know, title wise.
Toronto Comic Con, maybe.
It could have been
Maybe.
called that back then.
Yeah,
Maybe
no,
that,
there's
yeah.
two. There is Toronto Comic Con that happens in like March, and then there's
Yeah, but-
FanCon, which happens on Labor Day weekend.
No, I know FanCon. I've been there a bunch of times since, but I'm talking back in '93. I don't know what it would
That
have
was
been
like
called.
30 years ago. I don't even remember. if
It was.
had a
I think.
profit moon.
Yeah, like it wasn't an annual thing. It was. It was a.
Oh, maybe
Hey,
it's
we're-
one off. Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing this thing, and we've got these people, and it wasn't even like a full panel. Like there were random tables tucked back in weird corners. That's why we had to wait and zigzag in this line. Like it wasn't
It
anything
wasn't
like
San Diego. It wasn't New York. It wasn't any of the big.
No, it's not
Comic-Cons.
even. It's not even
It was,
FanCon that you go to here in Toronto
I
now.
might have been there actually. Now that I think about it,
Yeah.
because
It was
I used
cool,
to
and-
run Polaris, Toronto Trek, Ad Astra. I used to be on the committee for all those events. So I've been there I was there since I was 20. So yeah, 30 odd years.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe it was
will.
the second one. No, Hank. Jim Lee was there, or was that a different one we went to and Jim Lee was there and we just didn't get around to seeing him?
I didn't see Jim Lee with you. You might have been the one with McFarlane that I was at. But again, these are all like 91, 2, 3.
Yeah, around there.
And again, this was at the beginning of the explosion of the early 90s comics age. And so at this point, the names were unrecognizable. It's not like you go to like Comic Con, which they have like Comic Cons all over the world now.
Yeah.
And I went
Yeah,
to
it's
the
like a
Singapore-
traveling circus now.
Yeah, I went to the Singapore Comic Con and they had like the Marvel artists and stuff like that. It's like these are a big deal now, but back in the day, it's not so underground as it was like San Diego and New York in the 60s or 70s or whenever they started that. But in the 90s, it was just starting to gain some steam.
Yeah, that's when I got involved. Toronto Trek was at like 12 when I started, and it went to like 27 or something before it died and had to change to Polaris. And then Polaris only went for about 5 years before they had to cancel it. It was the biggest fan-run convention in Toronto at the time was Toronto Trek and then Polaris. And it just collapsed under its own weight because it was all
So I was
volunteers.
going to say, how does that happen? How does that collapse on its own way? Is it people disputing the way to organize it? Is it organizational fault?
It
Or
was
is it
one part
not lack of-
organizational, one part burnout, one part personality.
Okay. No, okay. So it's not
And then
lack of interest.
competition as well, right?
No,
Okay.
I don't think competition would have been a problem. We used to have the Connie and the Regal Constellation, and it was packed. We had like 1,000 people every year. And for a fan-run convention, that's pretty amazing. FanCon did come and take some wind out of the sails, but it was also not direct competition because it was a different kind of convention. FanCon is a meat market. Same with the Niagara Falls Comic Con and any of your Comic Cons like that. They are meat markets. They want you in here, pay me money to come in and spend money at my dealer's room. We don't give a
Pick
crap
up
about
chicks?
anything else. You laugh. I used to do that every year. I'd get a new piece at the Toronto Trek. But anyways, that's a whole other story.
Did you have to stop and wash your hand at a gas station with gasoline afterwards?
No, but I did end up dating one of the dealer's daughters who was Jewish, and I had to fake a heart attack to get away from her one night.
That happens.
That's a whole story. But anyways,
Oh,
I was going somewhere with this, and I'm gone now. So it collapsed under its own weight just because there were, you give a nerd a little bit of what they perceive as power, and they go crazy over it.
Oh,
And
100%.
these are my fiefdoms, and you can't cross over to here, and I don't listen to you. You're not my boss, and all this other stuff. And it just, it was great, and it was going along well. And then the personalities came up. Ad Astra continued way longer because there was less of that personality conflict. What killed Ad Astra wasn't anything else but COVID. COVID killed it, and it fell apart, and nobody wanted to put in the legwork to start it back up again.
Don't worry, pal. COVID killed a lot of things.
Yeah.
So you know what, in my brain, you know what I mixed up is that last cell of the first appearance of Professor Hulk with when Thanos gets the gauntlet, or when he transcends the gauntlet and becomes eternity. Because then that's what the line in my head was, what would you have me say is,
Oh, right.
she's like, I think it was, is it Taraxi, I think, comes over to his body as it's laying there in the chair. And she's like, Thanos, my darling, or whatever. And she's trying to shake him awake. And he's like, what would you have me say, my darling, or something. And then they pan back and it's the eternity version of Thanos overlooking everything. And then they're like, oh, we're fucked now.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well,
That's good.
I think Ramp's gonna want to wrap this one up. How long have we been going this time? 2 hours. That's
We're at
about
2.
where we-
That's a long time for him to be holding up that huge head of his.
That's true.
And I'm sorry, I came in late.
Oh, you're fine.
I was expecting to come in around midnight. You guys roll the clocks forward now, so it's now 12.
Yeah, we're now on
Oh,
par.
that's right.
We're a 12-hour difference now.
That's right. We still believe in
I
pushing
talked to
time around.
I talked to the cameraman a couple of weeks ago, and the time was still. I was an hour ahead,
Yeah.
living in the Far East Asia as I do. So I was like, yeah, I'll call the same time. And then the clocks changed, and then all of a sudden I'm like, what? I'm late? I thought I was early.
Yeah,
That's
no,
fine,
it was
man. It was great.
last Saturday.
Great to meet you.
That's
yeah,
good.
it's been a good fun having a chat with you, lads.
We want to get you in on
like people.
a discussion topic that we've had in the queue for a while, which is, go ahead, Jordan. It was your topic.
Sure. So it's Spider-Man versus Batman, but it's not who's going to win in a fight. I'm sure that will come up regardless. But there are so many different.
That's what I thought we were talking about. I had like themes.
Oh,
and
amazing! So you know it. You know it already. But I want to
significant.
announce it to the world as well. So what we want to do,
To
and
the world of
hopefully-
5 people that.
Oh no, we have not passed one all stream. Last week we had like 30 something people. I was like, oh yeah, we got the ball rolling. No, today just one, but that's okay. Our subscriber count has been going up. Anyways, so the themes of Spider-Man, Batman, they've both been rebooted 3 times. They both had successful animated shows. Both themes were written by Danny Elfman. So there's a lot of different parallels with their rise to fandom. And I want to discuss ultimately which symbol comes out on top.
I have a question though.
Yes.
You're talking about, is this movie oriented or comics oriented or both?
This will be-
It's the
separate,
combination. What he's
like-
saying is all the similarities between the 2 brands. Let's discuss that and then see which one we think is the better handled, better appreciated, etc.
Oh, well, that's easy, but that's a story for another podcast.
That's it. That's it. We'll go
Dude,
another.
That is awesome. Way to crank that off. That was amazing. It's so natural too.
Right? That's good.
All right,
But yeah,
gentlemen, we'll
are
see
we
you again.
able to do this next week? Do we think?
I am around next week, and then the week after I am not.
I
Okay.
may not be, depending on what's going on with work. Because
Okay.
unlike the rest of you losers, I have to work for a living.
Oh, so do I.
I feel for you.
So do I. I gotta go to work now, actually.
My
Well,
mantra
not now,
is
but-
Lucky you.
my mantra for what I do is it beats getting a real job.
Yeah, I used to be that way too, but unfortunately, it dried up, and I have to get a real job. So,
Fair.
all
You
right.
can't just be a stripper your whole life.
I'm a stripper at the Gamorrean Palace.
Amazing.
Good work.
Amazing.
All right.
All right. Ciao for now, folks. Signing off. We'll see y'all next week.